They stopped reaching out, and this time you stopped too. No text, no checking to see if they're okay, just full no contact. And at first you think, good, now they're going to see how it feels. But more and more as time goes by and you don't hear from them, you begin to think, what if I made it easier for them to move on? What if they never come back? What if no contact causes me to lose them forever? The simple truth is this. No contact will not make you lose them forever. Not if they're the right person for you. No contact will give them the time and distance to calm down, feel the loss, and come back when they're ready. And it gives you time to slow down, find peace, and actually decide if they are the right person for you. Now, if what you had was real, if both of you genuinely care about each other, then the silence won't erase that. But if the two of you can't give each other what you both need to feel safe and loved, then you were never right for each other anyway. And in that case, you haven't lost anything. Now, obviously, when you don't hear from them, it feels like proof that you've lost them, but it isn't. If your partner has an avoidant attachment style, then no contact removes the pressure that's causing them to pull away, which means you stop chasing, you stop checking, and you stop trying to get a reaction out of them. And when you choose to do that, they naturally start to relax, feel better, and can return when and if they're ready. Now, one of the biggest fears when a person chooses no contact is this. You start to think, what if I go no contact and they think I gave up? What if they think I stopped caring? And that concern makes sense, especially if you're anxiously attached. But that's not how it feels for someone who leans avoidant. And when you separate those two things, the confusion starts to lift. Now, I want you to think about what you might have done before. You probably reached out, maybe more than once. You chased, you begged, you sent them a long message. You showed them clearly and repeatedly that you cared, but it didn't work. And that's because avoidants often start to feel overwhelmed and smothered by that kind of behavior. Now, if they were to chase, beg, or send you a long message, you might start to feel more loved, safe, and secure. So let's separate what you feel from what their behavior shows. Because the next mistake people make is this. They think, okay, if chasing them pushes them away and no contact allows them to calm down and feel better, then won't they be happier without me? And the answer to that is yes, but not in the way that you think. Now, sometimes people do realize in no contact that they are not compatible, and nothing will change that. That's actually a good thing, and that's one of the reasons you're going to do no contact, so you can both really get clear on what you want and what you need from a partner. Now, if this connection is real, and you are meant to be together, then yes, at first, being apart will feel better, but ultimately, they will not be happier without you. The critical thing to understand here is that it takes avoidance much longer than you to come to that realization. Now, how long it takes them is complicated and depends on many factors, and the cleanest way to know what they are feeling is to watch their behavior. But we can make some educated predictions based on when most avoidants start to feel that regret and loss. So I'll share a link to a video about that at the end here. But what matters right now is this. In the early stages of no contact, your ex is going to feel this sense of relief. But relief is a starting point, not an ending point. So if you're sitting here saying, if they wanted to be with me, they wouldn't need to be away from me, well, that's just not true for an avoidant. The real concern is how long do they need to be away and are they worth waiting for? Now, either way, You need to do no contact to find that out. And they need no contact to start to calm down and notice your absence in a way that matters. It's worth pointing out here that when they start to feel your absence, it's not going to show up in the way you would expect. So, I'll also link a video about that at the end. But for now, just know that when the relief of being in no contact starts to wear off for an avoidant, it can turn into reflection, and reflection can turn into missing you, and missing you can turn to them reaching out, but only if you both give it a chance to happen. Now, here's the thing. You don't just want them to come back and nothing's changed. So this is where the question becomes more serious, because this is not only about whether they miss you. This is not only about them coming back to you. This is not only about the two of you being in love. This is about you being compatible, which really means this is about you accepting that they're going to need to pull away at times, but it's also about them accepting that they can't always do that. Now, that's a much more important question than most people ask during no contact. Most people are asking, does he miss me? Is she thinking about me? Are they moving on without me? Was any of it real? And this is where no contact starts showing you the deeper truth, because it gives you enough time to settle down, hear your own thoughts, and stop obsessing over what happens next with them. Now, as you're exploring your own thoughts, you might discover new questions and new possibilities. Like, if they came back tomorrow, what would you actually need to see happen? How would you like it to feel? What would need to be different for both of you? Now, if nothing needed to change, if the relationship was already working for you, then you probably wouldn't be here right now. So something wasn't working for both of you. And it's worth knowing what that is before they come back. Now, as you're letting that settle in, let's talk about another common fear that everyone has. There comes a time in no contact when most people feel they've waited too long to reach out. They start to wonder if there's a window of opportunity that's gone by and have they missed it. Now, it looks like that's what's happening. It feels like you've missed your chance, but that's not true. And the reason that's so hard to accept is because your mind keeps looking for one detail that changes the whole story. Now, this deserves more attention than it usually gets, so I'm going to be really direct with you here. A stable, real connection does not disappear because you stop chasing them. That is not how it works. If this relationship has something genuine in it, something that worked when it wasn't under pressure, then the connection will not disappear because you went no contact. But if the connection only survives when you keep chasing it, then that tells you something important, because a relationship that requires you to constantly plead, beg, or chase to stay connected is not built on a solid foundation. But there's another side to this. A relationship that causes a person to feel pressured, overwhelmed, and controlled isn't built on a solid foundation either. And what that really means to you is this. There has to be a middle ground where your need for reassurance and connection is being met, and their need for distance and room to breathe is also being met. Now, this is the cornerstone of a good relationship, and without it, the connection cannot last. So you both have to be clear on what you need and what you are comfortable with in a relationship. It's okay to love someone, to feel this attraction, but realize you're not compatible. And no contact is the thing that allows you to decide that. Now, let's say they do reach out. Let's say no contact works in the way you hoped, and they text you or call you or come by to see you and talk. What comes next actually changes things, and it's where most people make a huge mistake. When your person comes back, you feel like you can breathe again. This is it. The nightmare is over and everything is okay. So you break no contact, let them back into your life, and now you don't know what to do. Because as soon as you start to reconnect, they go cold again. Now you realize you're back in the same situation, waiting, guessing, and not knowing what to do because nothing has changed, which means you broke no contact too soon. Here's where we solve that. You have to stay in no contact until they take responsibility for their part in what happened. You want them to communicate clearly when and how they feel overwhelmed or smothered, what they need to feel safe, and you need them to acknowledge how that affects you. Now, this is the part that no one likes to hear, but you have to do the same. The chasing, begging, and asking for constant reassurance are part of the pattern too. And you'll want to ask yourself honestly if you can express what you need while still giving them space when they need it. That's not always an easy thing to do, but it really matters. And this is why you have to stay in no contact. Do not break it too soon. If they reach out, you can reply, but do it the right way. Know if it's time to reconnect or if you need to stay in no contact a little longer. Now, I put together the no contact safety net just for that. It walks you through no contact, how to reply, and what to do if you broke no contact too soon. You can get it from the link below if that feels like something you need. Right now, though, don't confuse no contact with losing them forever. Even if staying in no contact reveals that you're incompatible, and that's a real possibility, I'm not going to pretend otherwise, but if you feel this connection is special, you feel that it's real and it has the potential to work out, then staying in no contact is the right thing to do. It will not cause you to lose them forever, but it will break a pattern that wasn't working for you anyway. Now, if this is starting to make sense to you and you find yourself needing to know when they will actually start feeling regret, then watching this next video is the right step. Avoidant regret hits here, not when you think. Click the link and watch it, and I'll see you there.